Let's see. Medically, where are we? Mason Taylor is probable. I think Ovi is a probable for sure, and I think Omar. I don't know what his status. I'd probably keep him where he was. He was. What was he? Doubtful. Probable. I would probably downgrade him to doubtful. I think those are the three. Was there anybody else?
That's it.
Those are three. Other than that, guys prepared. We had two hard days on Tuesday and Wednesday. Good energy today, and we'll have another day tomorrow. And looking forward to playing in Tiger Stadium. So with that, let's get the questions firing away.
Just what did you learn about the tight end depth last week without Mason Taylor, and how with him back, just does that change, I guess, how you factor them in?
Learned that they're all young, and they're all learning. There's, look, there's talent certainly there, but there's a lot of growth, and we enjoy coaching them. Coach Denbrock, Terry Malone gets a chance to spend a lot of time with them, but there's a lot of teaching, a lot of growth, and every day is one step towards getting a little bit closer to where we need to be with a young group. Certainly, we were in that boat last year with Mason, and we saw great improvement throughout the year, and I suspect that we'll see the same thing with this younger group of tight ends that we have.
Hey, Coach.
Yes.
Curious about the difference in approach you'll take in this game against more of a dual threat quarterback versus how you guys approached defending Jordan Travis in the opener.
Yeah, so your defensive game plan certainly has to change a little bit when you don't have the threat of read option. Certainly a quarterback that can get out on the perimeter and break, contain, and extend plays. We were much more concerned with some other things that Rodgers brings relative to experience, and we weren't really sure relative to the offensive structure, and you have to prepare for some other things in terms of third down and nickel and things of that nature, and dime. But yeah, the primary concern here is his dual threat, and so similar to Jordan Travis, who we played at Florida State, you have to have those mechanisms within your defensive structure. So we'll pull some of those things, and we did this week that that you have to have on alert for your defense.
Coach, right here, it kind of feels like Arkansas offensively makes you play gap assignment sound football. Is that something that you guys have kind of maybe turned up a notch? And some of the guys we talked to said they didn't really feel like they did that well in week one. And where do you feel like they are progressing, kind of just staying true to their roles?
Yeah, I would look towards a lot of new players that played in the first game, similar to the year before, and we saw steady improvement in our defense. I think you're going to see the same thing, is that as these guys continue to evolve in their roles and get more comfortable with the structure, the defense is a little bit different than what we ran last year relative to what we're doing, and the roles are starting to become much more consistent. So I think we've identified the things that we need to improve on, and when you have that kind of focus going into practice each week, it really allows you to sharpen the edge, if you will, relative to what you need to do defensively.
Hey, Coach, up here, after the game against Florida State, you told us you believe this team was not what you thought they'd be, right? Now, what can you say about the strides this team has made to not only bounce back from that loss, but put yourselves back into the conversation of being the nation's elite?
Yeah, look, we're still trying to find consistency in who we are. Again, when you talk about the identity of a football team, you make some assumptions about your football team, and I think I made some assumptions that were not accurate, and that was really a fault of mine in terms of the way I prepared the football team. And so we've made some tweaks and adjustments like anybody would along the way to prepare our football team in a manner that when it's time to play, they play with a competitive edge. Not only execute, not only, do the things necessary to win football games, but play with a competitive edge. And I think we've seen that come together over, the course of the last couple of weeks. And we need to continue to do that with consistency. So that's what we're going to try to do again this weekend. But that's what everybody's trying to do in college football, and that's be consistent.
Hey, Coach, Arkansas's pass rush really affected the game last year, and they come into this game leading the SEC in sacks. How does that kind of affect the game plan offensively?
Well, I mean, it affects it each week. You're always looking in the SEC as to how you protect your quarterback. And, this defense is no different. They have a new defensive coordinator. They have, two of the top 10 pass rushers, in terms of statistics, in the SEC. So, we clearly understand the challenges and maybe, from our perspective, probably haven't seen anything, everything that they can, bring defensively. So we have to prepare for, a number of different things. And again, I would say that it's similar to, playing a team for the first time, where you don't know exactly what you're going to get, so you have to prepare for a lot. And, we'll have the things within our, protection scheme that really focuses in on, the key elements of what they like to do defensively.
Brian, we were talking to you earlier in the week about fourth downs and how you balance analytics and kind of gut feel. Does this offense in particular kind of maybe make you lean a little bit more toward gut feel at times, or is there something about this group that you really like going for it on fourth downs in certain spots?
I think when you have a quarterback that is dual threat, when you have an offensive line that's emerging and coming together, and you have playmakers on the perimeter, you kind of have an opportunity to have the pen last. Like, do you want to put 9 guys on the line of scrimmage and stop the run? Well, you better have somebody assigned to the quarterback. If you're going to assign somebody to the quarterback, then you're man-to-man on the outside. So if you feel like your team can execute at a high level, then there should be some confidence to go for it on fourth down. And I think that that's how I feel about the players that we have, that we can execute at a high level. And if you decide that you want to take something away, let's say you want to double up receivers and you want to make sure that we don't throw the ball in short yards, then we're going to run the football. So I think that that's probably how I feel with the other things that I mentioned, analytics, the feel and the flow of the game as well, and where we are in field position.
Going back to last year's game, obviously a bit of a defensive struggle for both teams. Do you feel like 1 year later your offense has unlocked some things that maybe you couldn't do last year that you can this year to attack this defense?
It's a totally different defense. I think it was an offensive struggle last year, not a defensive struggle. No, I know what you're saying, and I'm not saying anything about your question. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. Again, I think the defensive structure was a little bit different last year. Matter of fact, a lot different last year. We didn't handle the structure very well last year. I think our quarterback has shown that he recognizes those types of structures based upon how he did against Mississippi State, which had a similar structure, and he struggled in both of those games. I think we saw what he did against Mississippi State. So, again, our expectations are that with the quarterback and his recognition of what defenses can do, that he's going to find the right solution to what we need to do offensively.
Hey, Coach. Just two things quickly. Is there any update on Jimmy Lindsay, first of all?
Yeah, Jimmy is continuing to make progress. He is in treatment right now. He's about halfway through his treatments, and all reports are really positive in his treatment process.
Is there any timeline of him coming back, or?
No timeline has really been established relative to that right now, as he's right in the middle of his treatments.
And with young tight ends, it takes them a second, especially in the NFL, to sort of acclimate to the game. There's so many different things they need to learn. Would you say that applies to a lot of the young guys you have on this team?
Yeah, there are so many moving parts, especially within our offense for the tight end. As you know, they're involved in motion. They're involved in our run game relative to the option reads, and they're so important to what we do that they're not the backside of the action. They're on the front side of everything. So we ask them to do a lot, and it does take a little while for them to get it. Excuse me.
You mentioned, doing things a little bit different relative defensively. Is that kind of in reference to maybe playing three backers and 4 DBs a little bit more than you all seemed to last year, or was that kind of game plan specific for the last couple of weeks?
Well, part of it is obviously keeping Harold in the position of Sam linebacker. So when he's playing Sam linebacker, obviously you put yourself in a position where you're not playing quite as much nickel. Whereas if you played him inside, we played nickel virtually the whole game against Florida State. So we've decided that him playing the Sam linebacker position, puts us with, whoever the combination is of the other linebackers. We just feel like that's a better situation for us. Now, there are stresses to that. When you go into a 3 wides, 4 wide situation, we've got 3 linebackers on the field. So we have to be able to adjust and make some adjustments accordingly when teams want to spread us out and do some things, to try to get some matchups with 3 linebackers on the field. Great, thank you.